The poems in this video are short. Most of them are haiku or those foku that I've mentioned in other videos, the haiku wannabes that don't quite follow the traditional expectations of a haiku. A second thing I want to note is that a number of the poems in this video and some of the others are imitations that I haven't identified as imitations because there were some poetry books that I went through, and as an exercise, I decided to write a poem that was inspired by each one of those poems. So I'm going to have one, for example, that relates to David Malone's Under the Sycamore. And it's going to just go through and present each of the poems in sequence that were inspired by those poems.
Newborn butterfly, its crumpled wings unfolding. Old maple leaning over the riverbank, fish swimming in its shadow, fishing lines dangling from its branches, dense fog smothering the sun. Calm day, the scarecrow scared stiff. Hummingbird nest, 3 eggs, no bird.
As I've noted in other videos, I'm not fond of haiku, particularly my own. And after Hummingbird Nest was published, I tinkered with it. And I ended up writing a different poem. It still has strong connections to what was published, but it developed into something different. And even though the next poem wasn't published by Whispers or anywhere else, I thought I would share the result with you, and here it is.
3 hummingbird eggs in the little nest. Not much of an omelet. SASE. Until it returns, the hope is strong, the heart is resilient, and optimism rules. Leftovers. Ragdoll, mold, squeaky chew toy, puppy love, piddle stains, yips, yaps, growls, barks, wagging tail, sloppy tongue. Autumn. Leaves fall like shedding memories. One leaf clings to the top branch. Haiku. Fresh snow. Dainty paw prints marking the way home. Soaring eagle. My puppy chasing its shadow. Haiku. Summer rain on tin roof. Playing piano off key. Spring is just a brief moment of clarity between winter's icy glare and summer's blinding heat.
A Promise Broken, like some of the other poems that I've had published in the past, is a revision of the original poem that was published. The majority of the poem is the same, but I tinkered with it by giving it a title that was actually the last line of the original poem and changed it from being a traditional haiku or an attempt at one of those to just a normal kind of free verse little poem.
A promise broken, a tiny stream of smoke rising up from the bushes. Haiku. Spring thaw, ice jam breaking, recycled tears.
In the introduction of this video, I mentioned how a number of the poems were inspired by other poets' work, and Star-Crossed Lovers is one of them. And in this case, it was a poem that was published on Whispers that was written by Rita Oda, and I'll provide a link to that poem in the description.
Star-crossed lovers. You and I are two parallel lines that never found a way to meet. An unwelcome guest. Just outside my window, the flutter of wings against the pane. A robin has built a nest of mud-encrusted twigs and feathers on the sill. I've lived here for years, and never has a bird encroached upon my territory. I know what spring will bring, the noisome squawks of hungry little birds. I try to open the window, but it is cemented into place by the dried mud. I have no ladder to reach it from the outside, but there are no blue eggs in the nest. Yet.
Okay, An Unwelcome Guest is an autobiographical poem. It actually happened. I was sitting in my chair, writing and listening to the TV in the background, and I hear the flutter of bird wings thumping against my window. And it happened a few times, and I get up and I go and I look, and there's a bird nest in the corner. And you can imagine what that would be like in the spring, because birds make noise when they're young, and they tend to nest in the same place every year. So I'll leave it at that.
We are experiencing a little turbulence. The plane rattled and bounced as if it was being battered by a jackhammer on steroids. ETA, 2 hours. This poem is silly, this poem is bland. It's just time I'm killing while waiting to land. Beached. Wet sand between my toes. Warm sun on my back. Sea breeze full of salt. Incoming tide. My castle floats away. Untitled. Dozens of footprints meandering through the snow, leading me astray. Sprinkles. A scatter plot on concrete, depicting changing weather patterns. Blistering heat wave. Zen master contemplating the sweat on his brow. Haiku. Rays of sunlight, captured dust motes, antihistamine. Haiku. Lotus position, rhythmic breathing exercise, searching for nothing.
I hope you liked this video, and if you did, press the button for it and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your time.